Phantasm world is kind of like a video game with three primary players to it, and then every now and then you get some sidekicks in between. But the three primary players would be Reggie, Mike, and of course the tall man. And rather than any of them ever dying, actually they seem to die several times throughout the films. They sort of start over each time, and everything goes back to not quite the way it was, but sort of all fresh and new again, with everyone restored to their weaponry and their full health and so on, except for the older brother Jody, and Jody starts off as one of our heroes in the first film, and then he suddenly gets mysteriously yanked out of living, and we don't see how exactly he died. The little brother wakes up one moment, and then suddenly he's sitting by the fire with Reggie, and Reggie's reminding him, hey man, Jody died a couple of years ago, man, and don't worry, man, I'm gonna take care of you, yada yada yada. So there's a couple ways to approach Phantasm, but the first thing to remain clear is that this is some kind of game between the tall man and between Mike, the younger brother, and they are fighting for... I feel that they are fighting for the life and death of the older brother and for other fallen loved ones throughout the series. In fact, in part 3... I haven't seen part 2 for a while. I don't remember if I've ever seen it at all. These are weird films to remember because, a lot of things change and you see such a variety of stuff in them. But I recall in the third film, they team up with a little kid who lost his parents, and then they team up with a black woman who lost her friend. And again, you get this team of people that have lost people that are fighting the mortician, the specter of death that is the tall man, and their game. And I don't know. Now, traditionally, one would think that the tall man is pulling the strings and that he controls this kind of universe, or is sort of the one aware. But at the same time, I think that Mike has some type of special power or ability, and it's Mike and the tall man pushing and pulling between life and death, and then Reggie's kind of there for the ride, because he's the companion. He's the alive and awake companion. So the way one might look at this is that maybe the brother did die, like in a real life situation, and then maybe the younger brother started like dreaming real deep, and then like creating something, and then stepping into a whole new world of his own to face off with the tall man in a way. Now, officially, much of the tall man's backstory is sort of filled out in Phantasm Oblivion, the fourth film, which is my favorite film. It's hard to get my hands on it, but it's my favorite film whenever I can get a hold on it. And he starts off as a good southern gentleman, I think, a person who invents things also. And then at one point in his life, and Mike almost has a chance to get there and talk to the tall man while he's still good, but he misses the opportunity right in the nick of time. So he comes that close and misses it. That's how these things kind of are. But the tall man starts off as this inventor of sorts, and he creates this type of machinery that can help him step between worlds and throughout time and so on. And somewhere in that traveling process, he became twisted and evil and lost value for humanity, and began using people as his mechanisms to keep himself alive, to advance himself, to grow in his own power and control others. But the one person the two people that he can't control are Mike and Reggie, and then every now and then the companions that go with them. One more thing about the tall man is that he happens to have drone bodies, which you will see appearing, I think, at the end of part 2 and maybe at the beginning of part 3, because it's sort of a tie-in little thing. They pick up where the other one left off each time they move on to another one. And these drone bodies are very interesting, and he might be using more than we think. In fact, because the tall man can pop out anywhere he so pleases, and even acts a little differently from scene to scene, and looks